Hello students, today we are going to have a discussion on water resources management. Okay, now in your curriculum of environmental studies compulsory paper, you have different type of natural resources like forest resources and mineral resources, land resources, soil resources, energy resources. So today we are going to have a discussion on water resource and its management. Okay, now water as a resource, we all know the importance of water, how water is useful for us for various purposes, for domestic purposes, for industrial purposes, in agricultural purposes. Okay, in water, we also say water is the elixir of life. Just after oxygen, water is also a elixir of life. Without that we cannot survive. Okay, but of lately there have been some problems associated with water, and if you scale down the different problems which we have, then you can narrow down into two main problems which we encounter with water. One is the scarcity of water and the other one is the pollution of water. And generally these both are not very isolated problems, they are related also, because once the water gets polluted, it also becomes scarce because no longer you can use that water. Okay, so and why this is happening? This is occurring because of mainly I will say the faulty development practices which we have nowadays, and leading to a lot of pollution, various forms of water pollution. And once that water gets polluted, it also becomes scarce. Otherwise in nature there is no scarcity of water. So we have yes, you can say that the freshwater resources are very limited, but if all we would have been able to maintain the quality and quantity of the freshwater resource, which is also known as e-flow, environmental flow. And if we would have been able to maintain the environmental flow and the quality and quantity of water in any water resource, in any river at a given time, then certainly there would not have been any problem of scarcity. But somewhere we are not able to handle it, we are not able to conserve and protect and preserve the water, natural water which is given to us by earth. So that is why all these problems are occurring. So whatever limited this freshwater resources we have, that is also degrading day by day due to the pollution related activities. So scarcity of water, I was talking of scarcity of water, definitely the pollution is the main cause, and we can say that there is one event which is known as eutrophication, which leads to this pollution of water and finally leads to the scarcity of water. Now what is eutrophication? Let's divide this word into two parts, eu and prophikos. Eu means more and prophikos means nutrition, means more nutrition. That is, this scarcity of water is occurring because of something, not less nutrition, but because of more nutrition. Now what is this all about? Now let us take a hypothetical scenario. Let us take a hypothetical scenario that we have there is some water body in the vicinity of your area. Okay, and in that water body, let us say that whatever activities are going on around that water body, around that water resource, it may be a lake, and like let's say mining activities are going on, agricultural activities are going on, there are certain form of human settlements there, so they all are releasing the wastewater into that particular water body. Now what will be the constants of wastewater? Wastewater, already water is there, liquid is, medium is liquid, but what will be the constituents? Either it can have a solid constituents, it can have organic matter, it can have chemical constituents. So when we are concerned with eutrophication, we are mainly concerned with two main chemicals, that is nitrogen and phosphorus, nitrates and phosphates, and or nitrogen and phosphorus. Okay, now nitrogen and phosphorus, NP, this is the symbol, and with NP, if I write one more symbol K, that becomes potassium, NPK. Now where have you heard this word, this combo pack of NPK? In fertilizers, NPK fertilizers. NPK fertilizers are used in agriculture to increase the productivity. Okay, because they add the nutrient, they increase the nutrient level of the soil. So that means they are the nutrition. Nitrogen and phosphorus themselves, they are nutrients. Okay, now in the natural state, that particular lake body was not getting this much quantity of nutrition. But now, because of the human accelerated man-made conditions, the you can say the quantity of nitrogen and phosphorus in that particular lake body has increased. Okay, so what will happen now? These nutrition is increasing, so definitely when the nutrition will increase, then the phytoplanktons, that is the small plants of that lake body, and the zooplankton, the small animals, they will also flourish. Their growth will be more. Okay, and if this activity is not checked, then soon we will find that the entire lake will be covered by algal blooms and floating biomass, and because every phytoplankton or zooplankton also has got a life cycle, so there will be death also, and we will have dead matter will also be there, dead debris will also be there, living matter is also there, and algal blooms is also there. So in due course of time, the entire lake surface will be covered by this matter. Okay, and it will prevent the free dissociation of oxygen into the air. So when that free dissociation of oxygen into the air will be prevented, then what will happen, that the DO content, the dissolved oxygen content of the water, will become stagnant. It will not increase. Let's say at this time it is in this particular lake the DO content is 8 milligrams per liter. It will remain stagnant. It will not increase. On the contrary, it will decrease. From 8 it will come to 7, then 6, then 5, then 4, then 3, then 2. Why this will happen? Why this decrease will happen? This decrease will happen because, see, first and foremost, the oxygen will be utilized by the various, you can say, for the life activities of these organisms here, and secondly, it will also be utilized by the microorganisms to digest, to degrade the dead organic matter. So in this way, whatever limited oxygen supply it was already present in that these eutrophic conditions of this lake, that will also start decreasing, and soon the lake will become, you can say, totally eutrophic in nature, and the true water characters of the lake will be lost forever. The quality of the water for which it was called as a lake, or for which we call anything as a water, that will be lost in a eutrophic conditions, and no longer you can use this fresh water resource. So this is how this pollution problem, because the wastewater which was directly released into this water body, which was not treated, it was leading to this problem of eutrophication. So it is a very severe problem, and this is the main cause of scarcity of water. So it occurs due to limited, it arises because of this arises the phenomenon of limited fresh water resource, and it occurs due to discharge of untreated effluents, and the main problem is eutrophication. Okay, now, so eutrophication, you see, these are the two images here. This is the very clear water, and this is the eutrophic water. See, you can see the quality of water. No longer it was a fresh water resource, but this on the left side you can see a fresh water resource. You can use it easily, frequently, but the right side eutrophic water, it cannot be used. It is highly polluted, and then it will become, whatever fresh water resource you had around your area, it will become -1. Okay, and this is how the scarcity of water is increasing day by day. So eutrophication occurs because of more nutrition, more nitrates, phosphates, algal blooms, and low dissolved oxygen. These are the main characters of a eutrophic water body. Now this is a problem. Yes, eutrophication is a problem. Then what is the solution? The solution which we have in hand is either you mechanically go for the removal of these debris and algal blooms. So when you are going to remove them mechanically, then also, yes, some clear passage will be there, and the free dissociation of oxygen will be initiated, and the dissolved oxygen level, or the DO is dissolved oxygen, the levels will increase, which will be very good for the health of that particular lake ecosystem or that water body. Okay, to maintain the structural and functional aspects of that particular water body. But the scientific treatment will be the wastewater treatment. This is the scientific treatment, the scientific answer, the scientific remedy for eutrophication is the wastewater treatment. There, whereby we have the 3 types of treatment generally. We have the primary treatment, we have the secondary treatment, and we have the tertiary treatment. So primary treatment, we have to remove for the removal of the solid loadings in the wastewater. Secondary treatment, to remove the organic loadings of the wastewater, and tertiary treatment to remove the chemical loadings of the wastewater. So Here you can see a simple biological filter, trickling filter has been shown here. Okay, so this is the influent here, that is the wastewater. First goes to the primary settling tank. This is the sludge you will find everywhere. After every treatment the sludge will be generated, and sludge is sent for the anaerobic digestion, whereby methane is produced. And then finally this is your biological filter, trickling filter, where the organic loadings are removed. Okay, and then to the secondary settling tank, and finally the effluent. It is not that 100% impurities will be removed, but like as the famous saying is there, something is better than nothing. So definitely that is also true for the wastewater treatment. At least when you treat the water through the different processes of wastewater treatment, then the eutrophication problem may not become zero, but will definitely be minimized. Besides this, we have other water issues also, and the other water issues which we encounter as a water resource in the water resource management, we have the dam controversies. Now, what is dam controversies? Always we have seen over the years that big dams are always controversial in nature. Controversial in nature means when we talk of big dams means big reservoir, a large reservoir, okay, which is required, and for that large reservoir, we require a lot of deforestation will be there, lot of habitat, and you can say this degradation will be there, lot of resettlement problem will be there, lot of rehabilitation problem will be there. Of course, the power generation capacity of a big dam will be quite large. It will be enough for the 3 or more states. But if we compare the ecological benefits, then they will be very few when you talk of the big dams. So big dams, they have always been in controversy of the years, and especially if that big dam is being constructed in some eco-fragile area, in some eco-sensitive area like Himalayas. We all have seen that how Himalayan ecosystem is already being compromised by the construction of big dams, and every year, after every 2 years, we hear some untoward incidents happening in the Himalayas because of these big dams. So big dams are always in controversy, but then what is the answer? Because we require dam also have got utility. Dam have got utility in power generation, in flood control, and in irrigation. So we cannot do away with the dam. Then what is the answer? So instead of constructing the big dams, we can go for the small dams. And there is one NGO in Uttarakhand by the name of HESCO, that is Himalayan Environmental Studies and Conservation Organization, headed by Dr. Anil Joshi, and they are doing a very applaudable work. They have done very applaudable work in relation to the small dams, that they have converted the gharats, the traditional water mills, which are famously known as gharats in the Himalayan states, and they have given them the form and structure of a small dam. So from one gharat we cannot get a very large power generation capacity, but it is enough to meet the local needs. So we have thousands of gharats or traditional water mills which have not been used since many years. So we can definitely you can say channelize our planning so that they may be converted into small dams. So that may be an answer. So this is also a very controversial issue, big dams versus small dams. Then another issue is the privatization of water, whether water should go in private hands or not. Till now, water is, although private players have entered the water market, but still the collection and distribution of water is in the hands of government. Like we get the water bill, so we get it from the government of India. Okay, so you must have seen your water bills in your houses. They are very subsidized. We are not using, we are misusing, and over many times we are exploiting the water. But still the money which you are paying to the government is very minuscule if you rate it to how much water you have used. So this is occurring because government always provides a lot of subsidy, and government provides you things on subsidized rates. But if same thing will go totally into private hands, then it will have its own pros and cons. It is not that everything will be negative about privatization. Yes, privatization to some extent quality will be there, because if private players are asking you for money, so they have to provide you quality also. But then everyone cannot afford that particular price. And in our country, in a developing country like India, where already a lot of poverty issue is there, then we cannot totally welcome this step of privatization of water as of now. Then other issues are also there, upstream issues and downstream issues related to the water, that related to basically they are related to river, because one river it flows through, it may flow to 2 or more states. So the states which are on the upper part we call them upstream, and on the lower side they are the downstream in relation to where you are located. So there are various such issues also, upstream issues and downstream issues. If the government, if the state where on the upstream decides to make a big dam on that river, it dams the river, so it will hold the water, and it may use or misuse the water as such. And the areas which are on the downstream, they may not be able to use that particular water. Okay, so this is also a very crucial issue in the upstream and downstream areas, which has to be taken care of. And then interlinking of rivers, this is also issue which is soon picking up, that the rivers can be interlinked, so that the water can be channelized. If one river is flooding and the other area, in the other river there is a scarcity of water, so that water can be channelized into the other river. So these steps are very good steps, and they should be welcomed for the proper water management. Okay, so these were some of the issues I discussed, which are part of your syllabus also. So that's all for today, and I am giving you one activity, that what you will do is, students, you will make a list of all the controversial dams in India. If not all, then at least a few of the dams you can take. Okay, and of course controversial dams will be all the big dams only, and you just write a case study on any one of them. Like you can write a case study on Tihri Dam or Bhakra Nagal Dam, any dam if you find. We have this Narmada Bachao Andolan, okay, Narmada Dam, Sardar Sarovar project. So all these dams are controversial, and you can write a case study on any one of them. So that's all for today. Thank you for joining.